About both aircraft and rockets. When you consider the coordinate system, what we refer to as the x-axis is usually the one that goes through the nose. So in the case of Falcon 9 and Dragon sitting on top of each other, the x-axis would have been pointing through the nose cone going up. Can be a little bit counterintuitive. And then actually in aircraft, the z-axis usually points down, depending on whether you use European or American coordinate systems and the type of aircraft you're working on. But important for both space station and Dragon to be on the same coordinate system as they do this eventually as they step into the approach maneuvers here towards waypoint 2. Dragon will be using its relative navigation sensors, again, for relative position to the station, to make sure that it's on the approach, within the bounds of the approach corridor going towards the station when we get to that after this manual piloting test.
Should be getting to that shortly. This manual piloting test was slated to last about 25 minutes. 176 meters from the space station, and pretty soon they're going to be approaching.
Dragon. That completes the manual piloting demonstration. I only had to twist Doug's arm for 2 or 3 minutes to get him to allow me to deactivate the piloting controls.
We copy. Excellent. Thank you. And with that, we ask that you, from the display used for manual piloting, please go to audio settings and adjust a gain setting for seat 1 or 4. And in addition, we would appreciate any handling qualities evaluation of the proximity piloting possible.
We've completed the gain setting adjustment for seat 1, and I'll turn it over to Doug for the handling quality quick look. SpaceX Dragon on the big loop for the handling qualities. It flew just about like the Sim, so my congratulations to the folks in Hawthorne. Flew really well, very crisp. It was a little sloppier and wide, just like we saw in the Sim, but all the other axes, as well as closure and opening, were all just as per.
Excellent to hear. Thank you.
That kind of gives you an indication of sort of how the design process works. You know, Bob and Doug have had lots of opportunities to test this out and sim it and give their feedback. And pretty cool to hear that their sim experience was very similar to what they saw actually on orbit. Just, I think you said 170 meters away from station right now?
Yeah, we're just 176, and I imagine as a spacecraft designer, that's exactly what you want to hear. Is the way that I trained you in it here on the ground is exactly how it performed once you're there for the real thing. So the second manual piloting test in the books, Bob and Doug putting Dragon through its paces. Now we're time to put it all to where we get to our endpoint. We're ready to get Dragon docked to the International Space Station. Dragon closing in, we're inside 20 meters. And yeah, that crew hands-off point should come up in about 3 minutes or so. Right before we get that final docking, it comes about 20 seconds prior, or just about 2 meters away from the station still. And that's just the crew not issuing any abort commands. At that point, it would be too late, and so any aborts would be executed automatically by Dragon itself. So we're closing in at less than 1/10 of a meter per second at this point.
You can can see the service section Dracos just doing all these very small, minor attitude corrections. Really, the autonomous docking system at work, making sure that the vestibule and the soft capture system is lined up with IDA2. It's the International Docking Adapter. You can see much more clearly there the hinge mechanism for the nose cone. Those four black circles are the forward bulkhead Dracos, not to be used at this time. And then, of course, the pedals of the soft capture system. Wow.
Dragon on the big loop. We're inside 10 meters. We cannot make out the docking target, but we do see the outline.
We copy and concur, 10 meters.
Right, we're less than 10 meters away. Again, we're closing at that rate of less than 1/10 of a meter per second. We should be just about 1 minute 45 seconds away from docking.
There's a center line camera right in that middle, so you can see where the forward hatch is, and right in the middle of that there's a window and there's a center line camera that is aligned with the center of the vehicle and the center of the docking mechanism. So that is what the autonomous docking system is using to line up with sort of a cross-hatch, cross-target on the docking port. Again, the forward docking port on PMA2, or the pressurized mating adapter.
And we are just 5 meters away. Again, we're racing that sunset. This Dragon continues to close, 4 meters to go.
Those shadows of the space station on the vehicle. Yeah, you can actually see the centerline camera pretty clearly there, sort of with the contrast of the sun right now.
3 meters to go. Two meters. Soft capture complete.
Dragon is soft capture confirmed. Stand by for retraction and docking.
Bye.
And we just heard it, soft capture. We have docking, that coming at 7:16 a.m. Pacific time, with the station and Dragon flying 262 statute miles right over the border between northern China and Mongolia.
You saw a little bit of motion there of Dragon. That was that relative motion that the soft capture system is damping out. Once that motion is clear, then the soft capture system will be retracted, and Dragon will go for hard capture.
Again, if just now tuning in, that soft capture, that docking coming 7:16 a.m. Pacific, 10:16 a.m. over on the East Coast. Dragon and the International Space Station were flying 262 statute miles right over the border between northern China and Mongolia. So that soft capture ring now going to retract. It's one more step on the way to docking complete.
Copy. We take it on board.
Yeah, and so the next step here is once the soft capture ring is retracted, there are 12 latches that we refer to as hard capture latches. Those are what will really create that pressure-tight seal between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station. So once soft capture is complete, and I believe we'll get that call from our core here, Anna, then we'll get confirmation of hard capture, and the crew, of course, aboard have this information on their displays. So they'll also see indication of hard capture complete. And once those two steps are done, then that's docking complete.
That's right. And we're expecting to hear some words from everybody. A pretty monumental moment. I mean, for Doug Hurley, he's returning to where he last docked almost 9 years ago on the very last space shuttle mission, now commanding the very first commercial spacecraft to deliver astronauts to the International Space Station.
That's got to be cool for them. They've mentioned quite a few times that they're best friends, our favorite dads in space, as we've been calling them. This has got to be really cool for them. It's got to be really cool for their families too, watching this.
It looks like we have another quick handover. We'll get that video back shortly. We're about 75% complete already.
Space Center. Their incredible efforts over the last several years to make this possible cannot go overstated. I'd also like to thank Kathy Leaders and her team of the Commercial Crew Program of NASA. An outstanding job by everyone. Last, I'd like to thank the men and women of the National Aeronautics and Space Agency. This is an incredible time to be at NASA. 3 new vehicles to be flown, continuing mission in low Earth orbit, and then to the moon and Mars. We thank you again and congratulate you.
Dragon arriving. Crew of Expedition 63 is honored to welcome Dragon and the Commercial Crew Program to welcome aboard the International Space Station. Bob and Doug, glad to have you as part of the crew. Well done. Bravo Zulu.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. The NASA team and a team across America who was able to pull this off and bring human spaceflight again to our nation. Thanks for everything. Happy to be aboard.
And Dragon SpaceX, with that, ground will be enabling hardline power and comm connection shortly. You are go to doff your suits per procedure 4.012. We will be configuring your video to go external shortly, and we have one request for Bob's suit doffing when you're ready to go.
Now again, there's a few more hatches to open until we are able to welcome Bob and Doug aboard the International Space Station. You're looking through the hatch into the pressurized mating adapter. There's another hatch down there through the pressurized mating adapter that opens up to the International Docking Adapter.
Houston 3, hey Josh, there was zero on DPDT and the No. 2 forward hatch is open.
And Chris, we copy No. 2 forward hatch open. We concur your go for the next yellow activity. That's your 1515 activity. It's step 2 in 2.102 Crew Dragon ISS arrival through hatch opening. Basically, you're going to cycle the 8-pass equalization valve.
And Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to ground. If desired, reference procedure 4.400 to monitor vestibule pressurization.
And copies. Small.